Greetings, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are, good evening. Well, 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 there we go, and here we are. It is another day, still alive here at Terra Illumination. Just going to check in, see if I'm actually here. Oh yeah, I'm actually there. Huh, hello. Hello everybody out there, whoever's watching. I see a few of you. Hello, chosen by God. Greetings, nice to meet you. Impressive. Nikki, of course, greetings. Karen Gray's over there you're in the UK. Oh, the jolly old UK, the United Kingdom. Have you ever had tea with the Queen? Share a great tuber that you find interesting, Simon Parks. Oh, yes. I know Simon Parks, not personally, but he's a YouTuber. And yeah, he's super. He's like deep in it, you know. He's deep in that alternate stuff where we hang out mostly here on the channel. Hello, Nikki, yes. Path is with a client. Okay, that's great. Fantastic. Business is good. Thank you. And hola que. So here we are yet again. We've survived yet another day. Wow, it's amazing. We've survived another day. Yes. Big Aquarian shift. Yes, exactly. So let me see if I can just jump over to the... hold on. Just give me a sec. I'm still settling in, okay? I just made myself a cup of decaf. You know, we don't want to be overstimulated these days because the astrological weather is very extreme. It's very active with all that Aquarian energy, and it can make your brain spin out without even having to take drugs or alcohol or meditate or do astral projections or past life regressions. It's all happening right now. Yes. So a few basic points. We just had the Capricorn new moon. Okay, that was, I don't know, maybe in the last 12 hours or so, like when you look at the charts. So we had Sun, Moon, Venus, and Pluto all piled up in Capricorn for at least a couple of days. And I don't know about you, but I feel the lunar cycles very, very strongly. And like a couple of days before a new moon and a couple of days after, I kind of go into like this sort of like type of energy, which, you know, I never understood for many years. And then I realized, oh, God, it's so freaking obvious. It's my lunar cycles, of course. My loony cycles. Well, Nikki, I understand your notes there about drinking coffee anymore. I drink very small amounts of coffee now, usually in the early morning. I go to a little cafe like 4 or 5 days a week, and I buy a real coffee. I'm very careful with it. I certainly can't overdo it because I get palpitations and I get very jittery, and then I get very depressed after about 4 hours after the caffeine wears off. So I learned the hard way with lots of other journeys through, I guess, substances or even substance abuse. That what I enjoy best is things very, very simple. Like you said, Nikki, I like water. I'm a really big fan of water. Good old-fashioned, plain old water. But also with the decaf, a lot of this is about the ritual, okay? I love the idea of saying, oh, you know what? I need a break. I need my decaf. I have to go and heat the water, prepare the cup and everything. It's like people who do their spliffs and who have their, roaches, or they have their hyper, like triple Red Bull energy drinks or something. Part of it's the ritual, but for some people it's actually about like shooting up on high-powered stimulants. I can't do that. Anyway. Nikki's better with full moons. Okay. You kind of know where you stand with full moons. Actually, Karen, you know, about the UK, there's quite a few British people. There's Simon Parks. I can't remember the names of the other ones, but they also operate from the United Kingdom, and they're keeping a very close eye on the United States and what's happening here. And they're affected indirectly and in different ways than we are. Because they have a common language with us, we inherited our English language from the British. We're very, very close, and the United Kingdom and the United States are still very, very close allies. Okay. Hello, Sarah. Hello, I see you. Yes, I did a Zoom meeting with a dear friend of mine in the United Kingdom. He lives up in the Lake District. It's very, very beautiful. It's like going on one of those nature movies, or looking at Braveheart, or, beautiful English countryside with lakes and mountains. I've been there a few times, and it's beautiful when it's not cold or foggy or raining. It's absolutely gorgeous. You wouldn't want to be anywhere else. Cheers. Welcome, Sarah. And my buddy, he was saying, yeah, it's very serious, full-on lockdowns in the United Kingdom right now. And another thing that is happening right now is myself and a couple of I called them the wise women. We're keeping an eye on things very, very closely, because you can really see and feel the radical shifts that are happening on planet Earth right now. And nowhere is this more acutely felt and displayed than the United States. And so I am mostly an observer, mostly a witness, and I try to offer my opinions and feedbacks about what's going on. What does it all mean? Where did it all come from? How did it get to be the way things are today? And then I go back and then I correlate it with my astrodoodles, and I kind of go, obviously, see? I told you so. I told you. Months ago, I was warning everybody, please understand, once we get into 2021, things are going to get very choppy, very volatile, unstable, as planet Earth is starting to kind of go through this massive, convulsive growing pains. The United States is a really obvious example, because the United States has so many astrological aspects that are deeply tied to the astrology in the sacred geometry in the heavens right now. So it's no surprise to me that the United States is kind of center stage in everything to do with all the amazing, wonderful things that are happening right now. Let's not deny that. But also at the same time, the very, very scary things that are happening right now. Let's not deny that. Okay? Krista Hobkirk. Hello, Krista. Krista Hobkirk. That sounds like a very British name. Hello, I'm Krista Hobkirk. Hello. Yeah, so I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm an observer, and I've confessed online publicly that I align myself with the so-called patriots type of people. Some of them call them Trumpers. Some of them call them constitutionalists, whatever you want to call it. But I've already outed myself. I'm on that side, okay? I love America. I'm very, very proud to be American, but also there's a lot about America that makes me very ashamed and sad and angry. And it's all happening simultaneously. So, a lot is happening to me personally. I can feel it personally. Again, I'm relating it all to my charts and astrodoodles. All of this was highly predictable. So, none of it surprises me. But still, the impact of change is so extreme and so strong, I really didn't know what it would feel like. But I'm an observer. I'm literally almost like my own lab rat. I am my own, social human experiment, a living, live social human experiment. Yeah, I just heard something, Karen, that apparently, is it from the whole of Europe or just from the UK, that nobody can arrive now into the United States by plane without having a vaccination ID to prove that you don't have the China virus and to prove that you've been tested or not. So I don't know what that means. I don't know when the activation date is, but apparently it's going to be sometime soon in January, okay? And that's very disturbing. Up to a point. I mean, 20 years ago, after 9/11 and the big bombings in the United States, in New York, Twin Towers and all of that, that started off a whole new wave of paranoia and insecurity. So now we have all the TSA screenings at airports. They double, triple check your passports, your ID, your facial scanning. It's mind-boggling. You have to take off most of your clothes and empty your wallets. Then you go through big scanners, and eventually you get on your airplane. There you go. Oh, and Karen is saying, if anybody wants to arrive into the United Kingdom, you have to have a proof that says you are China virus negative. Oh gosh, I shouldn't be saying that word, China virus. I'm so sorry. Oh, that's socially incorrect. So punish me. Okay. What else? There's a ton of stuff going on right now. My head is kind of scrambled with all the things that are happening. And I'm just trying to recalibrate myself because the last couple of days were so overwhelming with this massive sense of void. I don't know if you guys noticed, but after January 6th, and especially after the 11th, I think it was the 10th or 11th or 12th, the United States put a major blackout on anything to do with Donald and his patriots. It's mind-boggling what's happened. It's news. It's all over the world. And in case you hadn't heard about it, GOOGLE and FACE book and TWI ITER and Apple and Amazon have basically shut out Donald and his people. It's like it doesn't exist anymore. I am on a mailing list. Their original mailing list, which is sort of like my constant contact, their original mailing list company cut relationships as well. But they have recovered, and they now have a new direct email system provider. So millions and millions of emails are going out every day now from the Republican National Congress chairwoman. That's something. But in the meantime, Donald himself is remaining very, very quiet, very shrouded. And the mass media are acting as though he doesn't exist. And some of you are aware of that in Washington right now, a huge percentage of Congress is trying to delete Donald from his post as of today, if they can actually do it. And they're taking it very seriously. The whole idea, they're using this impeachment thing again. Who knows what's going to happen? It kind of becomes sort of irrelevant. I know there's very important consequences, like if they can actually impeach. I think it's very unlikely, but it's also very possible. There's enough venom, there's enough perversion, there's enough power, there's enough corruption, bribery, betrayal, fraud, and deception over there in Washington, in Congress, including the Republicans and the Democrats, that it's very possible things could get very, very ugly for Donald. In some ways, I think he's beyond the point of caring. I can't find anything anywhere that indicates about what he's you know, what's going through with him personally, what's going to happen. The things that I do know from the sites that I check is that he has not actually conceded his presidency. Also, he has stated that he's not going to attend the inauguration. What does that tell us? I'm not really sure, because the people that I get my information from can't untangle what little information we have already, so nobody knows. We're all basically kind of waiting. Some people on the patriotic side are going, Donald's got this, don't worry. He's got this stuff. It's going to be fine. Don't worry, everybody. We're going to get Nasara, Jasara all over the world. There's going to be the second coming. Everything's going to be great. And there's other people who are basically saying, like, the show's over, people. It's over. He's gone. We, the elites, we have eliminated this person. He has been deleted from history. He does not exist anymore. I find that hard to believe too. There's some people who are saying that Donald is that this is just the beginning, and that Donald is going to become much more functional, useful, and I would say helpful if he's out of office. You know, there's people saying, "Oh, he's going to start a new political party, the Great Americans, or something like that." I don't know. So there's a lot of stuff going on. And there's a lot of stuff not going on. This is the lame duck period, I think they call it. It's the 2-week time window between when one administration theoretically ends and another administration theoretically begins. But America has never really been through anything like this. Okay? We have very, very strong evidence, hard facts of extreme fraud in the American election. We have hard evidence of interference from other countries in our election, specifically from Italy, China, a few others. It's all deliberate, it's all provable, it's all there. Okay? There's also a lot of evidence that indicates the, what should we call them? The enemy, the swamp creatures. That's the popular word for it, swamp creatures. There's an indication that, when Donald took office 4 years ago, his main agenda was to destroy the elitism and drain the swamp. And the drain the swamp became a popular catchphrase. And effectively, that's what's happened. He has drained the swamp. He's made it his 4-year mission to basically attack all the fraud, the fakers, all the traitors, everyone who has betrayed their own people, their own country, having sold out to CHINA. And that's welcoming us into Chinerica. Here we are today. And that was the whole plan overall. There's one channel I watched, they're deep into cryptocurrencies, and he wrote a couple books, and he's basically saying, we need to get used to this. This is the new world order. It's all being planned. Everything is planned out. And so there's a lot of questions going on. If Donald has hard proof that the election was stolen and fraudulent, why isn't he doing anything about it? It's puzzling to myself, it's puzzling to his patriots, it's puzzling to the rest of the world. So my personal feeling is that the show is not over and the best is yet to come. That is what Donald has already declared. I think it was the evening of the 6th. When that whole electoral college farce went down in Washington and they had the big staged riot, okay? So as some of you know, the whole of the riot it's kind of all part of the theater, where I feel that and believe it was staged, and from some of the footage that I've seen, I truly believe that it was staged. And it creates the backdrop for more ambiguity, more chaos. But going back to the whole drain the swamp story, I think what Donald was doing is essentially literally draining the swamp. I don't think he ever promised to disempower the swamp creatures once they were exposed. Because what's happened is that Donald deliberately let all this treachery, betrayal, lies, and deception, fraud, criminal activity, deep, perverse criminal activity, financial, sexual, economic, political, at the very, very highest levels of the world economy and world politics and world religion. He basically, it's almost like set it up so that all the traitors, everyone who's corrupt, would show their true colors. And that's really what happened. From what I can tell, that is what happened. So, as they say, Karen Graves, yes, give them enough rope and they hang themselves. So they have truly exposed themselves. From what I can tell, there's about 30 to 40% of the Republican Party were already putting a rope around Donald's neck. For whatever reasons, I don't know. My personal feeling is that they were either blackmailed or they were already dirty. It doesn't really matter either way. They're still swamp creatures. And basically, like, Donald's going, like, he's probably hanging out in Washington right now, talking to a lot of people, saying, hey, it was a great time. We had a lot of fun. Dear President, blah, blah. Dear President, blah, blah. Dear Presidentess, blah, blah. It's been great working with you. Things are the way they are. It's not the end of the world. The best is yet to come. You know me. I'm Donald, and I've got this. Don't worry. I'm never going to stop fighting for you. I think that's kind of what's going on behind the scenes, and he's not spending a lot of time or energy trying to prove himself to the public. I think what's actually happening is he's just simply stepping back, and he is allowing the swamp creatures to display themselves in their full squalor, their full extent of evil. That's what's happening. That means politicians, corporations, CEO, boss leaders of corporations, religious groups, political groups, other countries, other traitors, professional traitors, a lot of espionage. It all kind of added up to the fraud. They had the Dominion voting system software. They had the Smartmatic voting booths, and all of the sellout, with HSBC Bank to China, and all the dirty stuff going on with Italy and through Germany and back and forth through Spain and into the Vatican and out of the Vatican and Venezuela and Russia, and it's all over the place. It's mind-boggling to me how Donald is even alive. In the old days, they would have just assassinated him. I don't get it. Anyway, like we said, big stuff is happening. We just had the Capricorn new moon. Let me go to the chart for a moment here. Oh, wait a minute. I just saw Karen notes. Yesterday, 2 fighters jets forced a private jet from Germany to land. Doubt we will hear more, though. Yeah. There's a huge information cover-up happening, too, here, Karen. It's almost like the only thing that exists is the mass media. When I don't watch any of them. Anytime I watch them, it's just full of, to me, what constitutes distractions or junk or fake news, fake stories, when you correlate those stories with the facts. So I don't pay much attention to it. I'm like a lot of people now. I'm leaning into alternative sources of information, and which make much more sense to me in terms of truth and honesty. Because the big, let's say, I don't know what the word is, the cabal, the elites. I don't know what it is. That you remember that whole list of names and companies and institutes that I wrote down many times? Those are the people I'm talking about who want Donald to get out of the way. They want to destroy the United States Constitution. They want to destroy any kind of integrity that we have or still have remaining out of our Constitution, so that we become as disempowered as the Chinese people, as the Venezuelan people. Okay, hold on. Yeah. There's a lot of people who want Donald out of the way, and they have effectively pushed him out of the way. There's another way you can look at it, which is, wow, what have they got to hide, these elites? What have they got to hide? What is their true agenda? The extent to which they had to go to destroy Donald, to destroy the American voting system, to destroy America's sense of hope and optimism. I think it was harder than they were anticipating. I personally think that the elites thought that Donald and the Patriots would roll over much more easily, and now we're left with a situation where that's not happening at all. What's happened, the way I see it, is that the swamp, Washington, and all the elites that cover themselves in their glory and their money and their power, and they sparkleize themselves to look like they are, God's answer to all your problems, where in fact they are essentially very hollow, empty entities that are completely and utterly self-serving. They have literally no soul. There's no soul to any of this. And then they come across this fellow Donald. And, for Donald and about 80 million people, that's just a tiny, tiny fraction of the power and money that the big elites have. But it took the elites all that power and money to put Donald in his place, where apparently he has been deselected. So, yeah, the swamp is drained. The swamp is now officially drained. Donald basically set it all up so that they could expose themselves and show their true colors, especially in the so-called Republican right wing of America, when you discover that almost half of them who would technically vote for Donald when there's not a lot of problems, they turned against Donald. So you understand how completely and utterly squalid those people are. The swamp creatures are now exposed. The swamp creatures, the politicians, the banks, and all the oligarchs, the corporatocracy, the kleptocracy of China, all of it has been exposed. Every bit of it is now fully exposed. And it became so exposed, it became such a problem that the big elites, those big corporations, the communication people that we've talked about, they basically literally wiped all his stuff out. But he's not dead yet. America is not dead yet. I don't know what's going to happen. There's still 80 million voters who are not going to accept the new administration. That's a problem. A lot of these 80 million patriots are law-abiding, loving, God-fearing citizens of America. And some of them are armed. Some of them are very well armed. The last thing they ever want to do is take up arms and use them. However, we do have that right. We do have that privilege in this country that nowhere else has on earth. And that's a big problem. So let's say everything goes smoothly, Biden gets in, and Nancy destroys Donald and everything, and blah blah blah, and they start crushing down on the gun people, on your gun rights. They start crushing down your free speech, your right to due process in law, your right to remain silent, your rights to privacy, your rights to property, your rights to protect and defend yourself, your rights to take out and disable your tyrannical, treacherous leaders if they no longer serve the people, and if they allow other things like removing rule of law instead of, and now having rule of dictators, and then the courthouses, all of the courthouses, the Supreme Court, is worthless. FBI, CIA. I mean, it's so corrupt. It's just freaking mind-boggling how bad it is. The swamp is so much bigger than anyone could have imagined, and so much more powerful. And they still couldn't kill him. Some of the biggest crowds ever in political history were at Washington. Donald is still around. And in the next few weeks, we're going to find out what happens. I don't think anybody knows. I haven't found any sources of information, and Donald is just being very quiet. I don't blame him, really. Some people think he has a few master strokes left, a couple of, key vital pieces. We shall see. Okay? Oh yeah, right to your own body. A right to be vaccinated or not vaccinated. Thank you, Nikki. A very good point there. So what's happening right now is it's like what happens with a person. Classic situation is just a regular person who got infected with candida, systemic candidiasis, and they didn't know that they had it. And it basically kills you from the inside out, like dry rot or mold. And people can die from it. If you're very heavily compromised with your immune system, like people who've had organ transplants, or you're an HIV patient or something, and you're taking a lot of chemotherapy and whatever, typically in those situations, the human immune system is very compromised. And that gives a chance for candida to grow in the body. Candida is a very, very simple, ultra primitive organism. It's the white stuff that they call yeast. That's what it is. And if ever you've seen a piece of rotten meat or a corpse or an animal that's dying, especially if it's still moist, then chances are you will see mold and mildew grow over the animal. If you've seen those like time-lapse photographies of a dead animal rotting down to the bone, most of that rot comes from the yeast. So we're at that point in the United States. The way I look at it is, like I said before, it's very sad. We're on our kind of deathbed as the version of America that was birthed about 245 years ago. And we're coming to this Pluto return. I've talked about it for most of this year, most of last year. We're not there yet. We have another 3 years to go, okay? So, I was trying to explain to some of my friends, like, what does this mean? What is a Pluto return? Well, you've all heard of the Saturn return. You've probably heard of Mercury returns, Jupiter returns. They all have cyclical patterns, The Jupiter return is every roughly 12 years or so. People don't bother with that one too much. The one they're scared of is the Saturn return, because Saturn is characterized as like the Lord of Karma. It's like the inspector that comes along and says, well, you've done very well. You've done very well with this, and this, and this, and this. This is your scores chart. This is your chart. Well done. You now can enjoy the next cycle of your Saturn return, because you've done your homework on yourself. You've lived honorably, truthfully, nobly, and you've put a lot of work and time and energy. Congratulations. There's other people who have a more bumpy time on their Saturn return, it happens when you're about roughly 29 and a half, 30 years old, around there. You certainly feel it by the around time you're 30 years old. And for people who've had a bumpy life and they've made a lot of mistakes, typically when they reach the Saturn return, which is about 29 and a half or 29 and 3/4 years, they really feel it in their physical body, in their life, in their world. It's very normal to see extreme depression, potential suicide, financial losses, relationship losses, health losses, spiritual abandonment. It just becomes really, really ugly. It's a very, very common pattern, very well documented. So let's take that concept to Pluto, the Pluto return. So none of us as human beings have ever lived through a complete Pluto cycle. It would take you multiple lifetimes to live through one Pluto cycle. So, I'm really kind of like speculating here, but the way I see it, I'm looking at the United States as an entity, as though it was a child that grew up and it's coming to its first Pluto cycle and it's maturing. The very, very, very first Pluto cycle of America. And it took about 250 years or so. If you look at the birth of America, 1776, 4th of July, that would be the marker point. And I've referred to those charts before. And so I can see it very clearly in the charts. And that's why I keep referring to the charts and start mentioning more and more about the Pluto return, because the way I look at it, the Pluto return is going to become a bigger and bigger theme over the next 3 years, because typically, like with the Saturn return, you start to feel it about a year and a half before you actually run into it. It's the same thing like with a lunar cycle, okay? If you're very sensitive to the energies, like I am, like on maybe 2 or 3 days before the full moon crests, you start to feel it like, oh my gosh, that was the vibe, the frequency that started from that new moon a while back. So I feel it in my body. So when we look at the Pluto return, it's very, very hard to measure in the human body or through personal life experiences, because the human beings aren't really designed to live much beyond 75 to 80 years old. So, how do you measure a Pluto return? Well, I'm looking at the United States as a classic example. Maybe it's the first example on Earth where anyone's been talking about a Pluto return. Because Pluto wasn't even discovered until about 90 years ago. So, people don't have much of a reference point, but we're very, very aware of it now. I'm sure there's plenty of really high-powered astrologers who know something about the Pluto return. Most astrologers focus on love and relationships and so on, but I'm into kind of the big stuff. Anyway, so if you look at America, if you think of the United States as a person, and it has its birth chart just like you guys do, and you take Pluto and you follow the Pluto pattern, it goes about 250 years. And like with Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, those are the farther out that you go, the deeper and deeper we go into the level of the soul of the individual. So we're now heading into the very, very, very depths of the soul of this thing that we call the United States of America, which has its founding documents, its founding fathers, its founding principles, its founding women, its founding doctrines, the Declaration of Independence, and the Constitution. All of that stuff was embedded, first of all, in 1776. There's a lot of stuff all over YouTube about 1776 Revisited. There's a stuff in my book all about that. And we're living it right now. But when you look back at the little bits of history that I know and understand, that was the moment of birth, 4th of July, 1776. But the real action didn't really start to happen until afterwards, okay? So like the revolutions, very, very revolutionary, radical upheavals in the United States early on in its history. So I look to the Pluto cycles for correlations. So when I look at the patterns now, I am seeing us entering, I'm trying to draw a parallel with the Saturn return, okay, compared to the Pluto return. The Pluto return is much bigger, much more serious. In other words, however much you screw up regarding the Pluto return, the damage and the healing is going to have to be on a much bigger scale. And everything that you did right during your first Pluto cycle will be expanded and enjoyed and celebrated on a massive scale. And that's exactly what I see is happening in the United States. Let me show you. Good point. Good point, Nikki. Pluto, in about almost 4 years from now, you're going to notice it when Pluto moves into Aquarius. It's a very long, slow process. So what I'm talking about right now is the year 2020 would have been the first year where humanity realized, oh my God, we've got a problem. The China virus landed, kaboom, like a nuclear bomb, and it's affected the whole of planet Earth. In some ways, it's a scamdemic, it's a plandemic, it's very convenient. Do not let a good crisis go to waste. It works beautifully for the elites. They can destroy and use the Saul-Alinsky 8 principles to destroy everything that we have here that we hold dear and basically allow us to get swallowed up by the monster over here. Okay? So I don't want to go into that today. But almost exactly a year ago today, when we had the Cancer Capricorn eclipses, that's when the China virus bomb landed. And it's caused shockwaves across planet Earth much bigger than any nuclear bomb that was ever set off in World War II. This thing has gone all over the Earth, okay? That happened when we had the Pluto-Jupiter-Saturn conjunction about a year ago. We still have very powerful Capricorn conjunctions here today. And we're still going to have very powerful Capricorn conjunctions for the next 3 years, okay? We're going to have 3 solar returns, probably 30 Venus returns. I don't want to go into all the returns, but every time the planets come through here and conjoin with Pluto, it's going to emphasize the Pluto in Capricorn energy. But for now, right now, what I'm trying to illustrate is that January 2020 was the day the bomb went off. The shockwaves didn't really hit everybody until March, and then people realized it's like being hit by an EMP, an electromagnetic pulse type bomb. It just shook the whole world. And now we are living in the aftershocks of the bomb from a year ago. So during the last year, there's been a lot of chaos and confusion, financial catastrophe in every country on Earth. Every country on Earth has been impacted. However, the flip side is that the elites have profited astronomically, and they're using the crisis as a backdrop in order for them to damn it. Oh no, there's unfrozen. The final remaining obstacle to the perpetration and propagation of the evil agenda as desired by the swamp creatures, which includes these folks here, a bunch of criminals over here and here and here and here and here. Canada is already sold out to China, okay? Half of Europe is sold out to China, half of Africa. They've all sold out. But anyway, what we're seeing is the degree of pain that we are heading towards at the closing stage of the first Pluto return of the United States. 250 years ago, roughly, we had July 1776, the 4th of July. That was the marker. Pluto is about 27 degrees. Right now, Pluto's around 23, 24. It's going to take several years to get to the conjunction. So, the reason I'm so concerned about the Pluto return is because when we get to the exact conjunction of Pluto in Capricorn with the Pluto in Capricorn of the United States, that's going to be the point of maximum pressure. We're only just building up in pressure right now. All the demonic agenda that's been propagated by the swamp creatures is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, more powerful. It's literally like systemic candidiasis when it starts to take over the whole body and cover it in mold and fungus and death. Ultimately death. The New World Order wants this place to die. Okay? It wants us to be completely crippled and diseased and infected to the point where we cannot protect or defend ourselves anymore, like you would as a human being with your immune system. What they want is to remove your privacy, your rights to communicate, your rights to protect yourself and bear arms, your right to free speech. They're doing everything right now. They're coming in for the slaughter. They're coming in for the kill. We are not dead yet, but they're doing everything they can right now to slaughter the good thing that we have here. And they're doing an extremely effective job. So we have to wonder, are we going to live beyond our first Pluto return? In other words, this human experiment called the United States that's existed for about 250 years. Is this the end? Is this really the end of an empire, an experiment? Personally, I don't think so. It's a death and a rebirth simultaneously. The death, okay, it's just like what happens with a Saturn return. Everything that can go wrong will go wrong and has gone wrong in this very first Pluto return. And we're seeing how bad it is. We're seeing how evil it is. And it's happening right now in front of our faces. Also, at the same time, everything that's good is still there. We still have a constitution. We still have our rights, our freedoms. We still have the right to bear arms. We still have communication systems, but they're incredibly compromised, okay? Because we, the people, have been betrayed by the elites, okay? So those are the facts. Those are the realities right now. So, however bad it is now, what I'm suggesting is please allow for things to get worse. Please allow and understand that we're heading into these convulsive death throes where there's a part of us that is determined to stay alive, okay? Mostly in terms of human understanding, I would put that in terms of the patriots, the constitutionalists, the people who love the core principles of America, despite some of our not such good aspects. We're all guilty to that extent. But essentially, we have something very beautiful here that nowhere else has in the country. And pretty much everywhere else in the world that wants freedom of speech and free market capitalist economies supported by a supportive government, they're terrified that we are going to go down. Okay? So there's a lot of people who are very scared, like, oh my God, Trump is really going to go down. Donald is really screwed. He's done. It's history. He's dead, out of office. I don't know what's going to happen. So the United States right now, if you think of this as an individual, if I was showing you their chart, we're heading into the last closing phases of the first Pluto cycle. And it's going to get more and more painful as we head up to the exact conjunction at the end of 2023. At the same time, in order to keep the beautiful thing that we have, There will be a resistance. There will be an equal and opposite force. What is that? Something, well, I think Love Triber would know, but it was something like laws of physics. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. Okay? So, however big and powerful the evil that is being perpetrated on we the people by the swamp creatures, by the elites, there will be an equal and opposite reaction in some way, form, or another. It is just the laws of physics, the laws of nature, okay? And we're heading to that point right now. Nobody knows what's actually going to happen or how it's going to play out. But right now, today, let me go to the chart for today. We just had, you see the moon over here? Last night in America, the moon was right here. Today in America, the moon is over here. The moon has transited into Aquarius. And it's like, like with tides, the tide is rising now. We have a big stellium over here. It's a very powerful stellium. Mercury, Saturn, Jupiter, and the moon, all compressed in this very tight area. I can't show you on the chart, but it's actually much, much tighter than this. And it's in an extreme, multiple, quadruple, hard square with Uranus and Mars in Taurus over here. This is going to be with us pretty much the whole of 2021, okay? This is not going away. Please understand that. So I'm going to put a big mark in here. This is a massive square, okay? This energy in astrology, in westernized astrology with the tarot illumination astrodoodles, they call it a square, but these are multiple squares, multiplied over and over and over again. So the pressure is extremely intense. Square energies in astrology are the big challenges. They're very, very challenging on us as individuals, as people. It's challenging to the United States. It's very challenging to planet Earth. What are we going to do with this energy? This energy is neutral. It's up to you. It's up to we the people. It's up to the elites. It's up to the governors, the banks, the institutions, our leaders. What are they going to do with this? Okay? You can turn it to good or you can turn it towards evil. Okay? There are a lot of people who are trying to exploit this energy for evil right now in combination with this energy here. And it's happening live right in front of our faces all over planet Earth. Especially notable in the United States because we're heading towards the very closing years of our first Pluto cycle. So what does this indicate? The way I look at it is this is going to be a repeating theme all year. There's going to be massive disruptions regarding the status quo, regarding the elites, regarding the global banking system, the global financial system, money, currencies, what we believe money to be, how we use our money, where does our money come from, where does it go? That's going to be a huge increasing theme across the world. For some people, they're seeing it happen in this thing called cryptocurrencies. Cryptocurrencies are not going to go away. In some ways, cryptocurrencies, they are the enemy of fake money. We've talked about that before. Because some cryptocurrencies are designed in such a way that you can't desecrate them. They live kind of out in the open, and they don't belong to anyone, but they belong to all of us. And new systems, birthing of new money, new financial global systems, new infrastructures are happening today. It's been building up for years. But with Uranus in Taurus, this means a huge shakeup of the unshakable, because Taurus is very much about physical money, physical reality, physical earth. And Taurus loves stability, wealth, comfort, money. You can talk about your values systems, your assets. All of that is being heavily agitated and disruptive. Uranus is trying to wake us up. Wake up, humanity. Wake up, America. Wake up, Earth. Wake up. Each one of you understand whatever we know or believe about money is going to be shaken to the core, and a new belief system is being birthed, okay? It's going to take years. It's probably going to take 25 years. That's how I look at it. This is being brought to our attention on a global scale now, especially in 2021. We're going to see the subject of massive changes in the global financial system. It's going to start to appear in your life, whether you like it or know it or not. How that's going to appear to you, I don't know. Will you see a TV show about it? Something on the news? Something on YouTube? Something in the mail? Some sort of letter? Some sort of whispers or gossip from your friends and family? I don't know. But it's going to happen. So it's better to know that it's going to happen than you can get, figure out, well, what am I going to do with all of that? All this energy here, the Aquarian energy, Saturn, Jupiter, Mercury, and Moon, all in there in the 11th house of hope. Hope for humanity. Hope for we the people. It's a very decentralized energy. This is the energy of we the people. It's the energy of the early days of Terra Illumination channel, where we had a very strong Aquarian theme about all of us being a community around a campfire. And it was very decentralized energy, and really the Terra Illumination channel was just a place where people could come out and have community with themselves and each other, and learn and grow, and learn how to love thyself, and learn about self-healing. That's the Aquarian energy. It's very beautiful kind of energy. It's very neutral. There's no obvious leaders. There's no agenda for power. It's about what's good for we the people. Okay? Now the flip side, okay? Just take that common energy about the people, and the flip side version, the hollow version of all this Aquarian energy would be the energy of perverted cults, okay? Groups of people that coalesce together for a very dark, evil agenda of what's good for them, the elites, okay? As opposed to what's good for we the people. But the elites would present it as though it's good for we the people. So the classic example of this energy here would be communism. Classic Marxist, Engels, Chinese-style communism. And that system is based on complete desecration of private property, private rights, private communication, rights to defend and protect yourself. It's a complete command control economy. Typically, for it to work properly, it has to be very abusive to perpetrate its agenda. And you can see that all over China, okay? It's very obvious. And the Chinese are getting sick of it, by the way. These folks over here, because remember, the United States and China have some very, very common themes together, okay? We've shown that before in the astrology on other shows. China has an Aquarius ascendant, Aquarius rising, okay? So it looks like it's an Aquarian place. It's all about, if you listen to the bosses of the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, they're telling everybody, we have a beautiful, magic, wonderful place, okay? All you have to do is exactly what we tell you to do. If you don't like what we do, or if you don't do what we tell you to do, we're going to beat the shit out of you, okay? So just get used to the plan. It's a fantastic way to live. It's going to be wonderful. Just make sure you don't step out of line. Otherwise, you're going to get beaten and you have no rights, no voice, no power, nothing. Just letting you know. So that's a very evil expression of the Aquarian energy. It's the same idea, community, but you turn community into communism, okay? Those are very, very different things. They're using the idea of community to exploit for themselves, to run these slave camps, these debt farms and slave camps, for their own personal benefit. Personal, okay? So, all of this is happening right now. The Aquarian energy is shining very, very brightly on China right now. That's the Saturn, Jupiter, Moon, and Mercury. So if you've noticed, China is becoming very, very, very prominent in world news, world awareness. The rest of planet Earth is realizing, oh my God, we got screwed over. We got totally sucked in to the charm of the Aquarian thing going on here about what's good for we the people. And now it's too late. We have the One Belt, One Road initiative that's being built out all over here. Guess who's paying for it? America. America is paying for the Chinese Belt and Road initiative. We can have talks about that later, but please understand that, okay? We allowed this to happen because we're very greedy over here. We took advantage of the slave camp over here, okay? So, right now with China, let's look at it. Saturn is in very hard aspect to China's Aquarius ascendant right now. That's basically like a Saturn return for China, okay? In case you're not aware, China is in very deep trouble right now with its finances, with its controls and command systems, with massive corruption, massive failures in their crops and their food systems. And it's what they're doing is they're trying to export their problems. They need food, they need clean water. Okay, they are still the factory of the world, but they are doing everything they can to create the One Belt, One Road initiative so that they can basically suck all the resources of the planet to feed the people and to feed the monsters over here, to feed the CCP. Okay? The only remaining obstacle in total world domination, in other words, the new world order, orchestrated from here and here and here primarily, also here, here, and here. The last remaining obstacle is the United States. Right now, effectively, at this moment in time, the United States has been disabled. It's been crippled in terms of its ability to counter the energy of China. Basically, China is winning. You could almost say China has won. That's why I keep calling this place Chinerica. Because everybody over here, all the swamp creatures over here, have already sold out for their own personal gain to China. Okay? And that leaves the patriots, the Trumper crowd, people like myself, we're a very small population, very, very disturbed. Because a lot of us don't want to live in Chinerica. A lot of us want America as was originally intended, 1776. So that's Saturn. Jupiter in Aquarius is expanding the energy. In other words, however bad it is with China right now, it's going to be worse than they imagine, because all that's going to happen is the Jupiter energy is going to expand the glory of China. China will present itself as a much more glorious, wonderful institution. The CCP will seem more dazzling and powerful than ever. And the moon in Aquarius is exactly conjunct the Chinese moon in Aquarius. Mercury's in Aquarius there, okay? So China is becoming very vocal, very belligerent, very confident and self-assured of itself on the public stage, and it's behaving very irresponsibly because it's responding to this heavily conflicted energy with violence, okay? Basically, China is now threatening all of this area here physically. The threat of physical hot wars, okay? That means bullets, guns, death, murder, slaughter, physical warfare. It's also perpetrating cyber warfare across planet Earth, especially onto the United States. It's trying to kill, literally, China is trying to kill the patriots through the destruction of our communication systems, our political system, our financial systems, and our hope and our beliefs for what's good for humanity. So, it's all happening at the same time. All the beauty and wonder of the Aquarian energy over here, where humanity is seeing how awesome it can be. We're also seeing how the energy works when you flip it around. You take the Aquarian beautiful energy and turn it into violent, extreme communism across Earth. That's what's happening. This energy is going to shift and move around. We're going to be with the Aquarian energy for 2.5 years with Saturn, another year with Jupiter, and eventually for about 20 years with Pluto, because in about 3 years Pluto is going to be right here. And oh my God, it's going to be revolutionary. It's going to be global revolution, because my feeling is by the time we get to the Pluto return over here, we're going to see more and more and more conflict between the CCP and what's left of the shredded free world over here. It's going to get ugly, okay? Please prepare for that. There will be resistance. There are just enough people here alive who will try to resist over their dead bodies the pressure from here, okay? So please be prepared. There are lots of channels around the world in YouTube now basically saying, seriously, you do need to be prepared. Ice Age Farmer talks about food preparedness. Some people talk about, preparing yourself with arms. All of those kinds of things. Prepare yourself with land, friends, family. Surround yourself with your loved ones. Focus on Earth. Focus on what's real. Focus what's good. So that's kind of what's happening right now. This is going to be with us for a while. This is the aspect that I see as representing global fraud, global deception, betrayal, lies. It was very, very active during the elections here. It's still active now. It's still going to be active for a while. Oh, by the way, it's the middle of January, okay? And I don't know if you've noticed it, but we've got the new moon here today, and Uranus has just turned direct. So if any of you are feeling it in your body as though there's this kind of surge that you're being lifted up like on a wave, like on a surf wave or something, and things are going to start to move forward in a way that you can't control, things get activated, stimulated, that would make sense because it's happening at exactly the time that we're just coming out of the new moon in Capricorn. Okay? Remember, these are the reality check police. The energy of Pluto, the energy of the Pluto return is on us. It's on planet Earth. It's especially on America right now. The Pluto return energy is like a huge pressure, like massive pressure on America right now. Okay, think of it as an arm. I don't know if any of you had really bumpy Saturn returns, but if you had a very bumpy Saturn return, chances are you would have felt it like depression or extreme depression, chaos, losses, failures, very obvious karmic physical presentations in your life, in your world, about how you screwed up, who you screwed up with, where, when, why, and all of it. And that goes on your karmic record, so to speak. But you're not judged, okay? Saturn just does what it does. Basically, it's like a scorecard. The shadow side of the hard side of the Saturn return is, well, hey, you failed on this list of items here, 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 here. And that is the reason why you are suffering so much pain today. On the other hand, you did pretty well with this, and this, and this, and this. So I would work on these, take advantage of these going into your next Saturn cycle. And now you're going to have to start to clean up and learn and do this whole program again. So hopefully by the end of your next Saturn cycle, you will have sorted all this stuff out and you can be a much happier being. More loving, more loved. Okay, so take that same theme, but we're not just talking about karma. We're talking about universal truth, the physical reality of your whole life and your whole world. The Pluto return. Imagine a massive checklist going down to the depths of your soul, not just your physical reality, but your spiritual reality, your whole sense of God, spirit, loving, being loved. All of that is being held into accountability now. It's being drawn to our attention very slowly over the next 3 years. Pretend this is the scorecard for Pluto return for the United States. It's being pushed right into our faces, okay? And there's two sides of it, okay? It's either way, it's energy. And so on the positive side, they're going to say like, wow, you did a really good job. It's amazing that you even survived this long as the United States. It's been very bumpy. You have a lot to answer for. And you came in with really good intentions. You had that really powerful Aquarian intention of what's good for the people, so that your leaders work for you. All those things are great. You've got your Constitution. You've got your Declaration of Independence. We the people, we're not the slaves of kings and queens. We're not subject to the rule of rulers. We're not having to deal with despotism, torture, betrayal, lies, slavery, debt, infinite debt. Sadly, all of that has been corrupted because we the people have allowed it to happen. We became very comfortable, very successful, and we gave ourselves permission to go like, wow, this is really cool. We're America. We can do whatever the bleep we want. And that's when the rot sets in. And that's the rot that's going to be held accountable, where we the people, basically the United States, is going to be held accountable. So it's happening simultaneously. I'm trying to get people prepared and aware. It started in January 2020. We're a year later now. We've got another 3 years to go to the point of maximum pressure. So it's going to build up and build up. The Aquarian energy of this year, hard squaring with Uranus this year. It's going to be a lot of chaos, upheaval. Yes to this, no to this. Yes to that, no to that. Oh my God, what does this all mean? Where are we going to go? Is the CCP winning? Is America going to die? All of that is going to come into question. My personal feeling is that the thing that they're calling the Great Reset, the New World Order, that's going to become a very, very big theme. You might not be aware of it. You might not be informed. And no one's going to tell you like, we're going to take over. They're going to try and do it in such a way that you don't know that you have been basically crushed and turned into, a member of the debt farm on a debt slave camp, all of that. We've talked about that before. I'm just trying to keep people informed, okay? Let's get back to the basics. We just had the new moon in Capricorn. It was a very strong new moon. It's very much about your physical, worldly reality. What is your reality right now? And the Pisces Gemini aspect is saying, again, what is your reality right now? What is true? What is true in your life according to universal truth, universal laws? And what is true in your life according to how you've been imprinted or brainwashed or seduced or betrayed, either yourself or others? What does that truth look like? Make a decision. Become aware. Learn about it. So that's the Capricorn theme. Simultaneously, within hours, the moon shifted over to Aquarius, and the Aquarian theme is very, very loud right now. It's going to be very loud all year. It's the energy of we the people. And the sweet side of it is very much to do with the resurrection, the preservation, the reinstitution of the United States as it was originally founded, okay, with our Constitution and our Declaration of Independence. The flip side of that is the attempts, especially by the swamp creatures here in America and the CCP over in China. They're going to try and destroy all of that. And they're going to try and convince you that communism is the same as community. It's not. Okay? So that theme is going to repeat, 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 repeat all year long. So it's time to get used to it and figure out, well, what are we going to do? What are you going to do? What now? What now? What now? What now? Good questions. We're at the start of the new moon cycle. So personally, what I'm going to do is observe over the next 2 weeks, what does this mean for me personally? How can I translate that into universal truth, put it into words where I can hopefully share and communicate whatever I learn, whatever I discern, and I can share that with you in the spirit of community. That's about it. Okay, I'm just going to go over here for 1 second. Just want to see if there's anything I missed that I wanted to mention today. No, I think I covered it. I just wanted to, give you my ranting about this stuff. Actually, I'll put another big square over here. Squares, as you know, in Western astrology, they represent extreme challenges. But it's from those challenges that we grow. Okay? If you can rise to the challenge. In other words, you don't fall victim to the challenge. You don't take advantage of the challenging energies and you pervert them. Like this one over here is very, very much about violence, violent revolution in some way, shape, or form. Extreme violence is being perpetrated across America right now, but it's being done in the cybersphere, in the digital sphere, in the financial spheres, okay? Those are kind of examples. I don't want to I don't want to talk about this anymore. You guys can figure it out. If you've got any questions, what you can do is you can go over to terraillumination.com. I do readings, I do personal consultations, I cover everything. Legal, financial, relationship, whatever it is, we cover that, okay? Thank you very much. Oh, by the way, I don't know what's going to happen with the YouTube presence and everything like that. Today I demonetized this video because I don't want to even get even a slight level of attraction from the algorithm. Okay? And I don't know what's going to happen from here. I'm literally trying to recalibrate my whole life so that I'm not dependent on my YouTube money or my Terra Illumination money. Because it's very hard to manage. And it's much harder to manage now than it was a couple of years ago. It's almost impossible now. So I am reconfiguring myself accordingly because I don't want to be a victim. I am trying to, let's say, take advantage of these energies that are happening right now. I am trying personally in my own life. Okay, let's put it that way. In my own life, even though this looks really scary on my astrodoodles, I'm going to do everything I can to learn, expand, and grow from this and rise to the challenge. And from here, I'm not going to be a victim of this. I'm not going to be a victim of this. I don't want you guys to be victims of this or this either. Okay? You don't have to be. It's not easy, but there is a way to grow from all of this, okay? We'll figure it out together, okay? I help you guys, you help me out, okay? Community, okay? All right. Take care, everybody. Remember, love thyself. Understand that it really helps when you connect with your angels, your invisible friends, your spirit guides, your loved ones from beyond. It helps when you go by invitation. In other words, when you deliberately, consciously ask them to enter your life. You ask for the healing power of love to fill your body, mind, heart, and soul from above. You ask for it deliberately. That's a form of prayer. You could call it chants or incantations or requests or whatever it is. And then you bring it into your life and you ask it to work for you in the way that's best for you. Please bring to me that which is mine. Please take away from me that which is not mine. Just clear everything so I can just be essentially an egoless being that is purely intent on a path of goodness, of loving and being loved. And then you just allow that to happen. It's amazing what happens when you actually come at life from that perspective. The thing is, it's very hard to do because our ego gets in the way. We actually have to have a very powerful ego in order to survive on this planet. On the other hand, the flip side of a very powerful ego is that it can turn into a monster that eats yourself up and destroys other people too. So you've got to be consciously aware, constantly making decisions, choosing the loving path. You can't afford to live on autopilot. With the planets the way they are today, it's a massive wake-up, massive shake-up. People, wake up, people. You have to understand what's really happening as opposed to what you're told is happening or how you were raised to believe what is happening. What is real for you? What is not real? Is the illusion real for you, or is what you consider your reality an illusion? Which is it? We're all being held accountable right now. It's extreme for the United States, but the same pressure is on all of us as individuals. Okay? So take care, everyone. Have a super day. I'll see you in a few days. Hopefully I'll be here Sunday evening in American time, about 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. I might be able to get a few readings. I'm sorry I haven't been able to do personal readings lately. The energy fields have been so extreme. It's been just enough for me to try and take care of myself and handle and understand my own energy. Okay? So if I've let you down, I'm sorry. I'm still going. Take care, everybody. All right? I'm going to check out now. I want to, give me a moment. All right. Give me a second. I want to just exit very gently, please, if you don't mind. I'm just trying to think. Give me a second here.